Hello, everyone's Forest Focus. It's the final day of 2024. And what better way to see the new year by doing a podcast conceived in about 15 minutes and throwing at these chats with almost no notice at all, as we discuss our Nottingham Forest players of 2024 in the company of, first of all, Mark Sutherns. Mark, you kicked your son out of the sheds to join us, I think.
Don't worry. We just drop everything at the drop of a hat for you, Matt. Don't worry. We're professionals. We're always there for you if you need us. So it's fine. He was upset, but don't worry. I'll make it up to him.
Good. Well, someone's got to be professional because, this has been an absolute shambles as ever putting this together. Paul Morley, who is with us for 30 minutes. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Good. I had to double check I hadn't gone back in time when I woke up this morning and checked the league table, as it's exactly the same top three as it was on New Year's Eve in 1987. So Liverpool, Forest, Arsenal, same order. So let's hope we can finish the season strongly like we did that year.
What a stat! You're rivaling Mark there. Lovely stuff. Michael Temple, how are you doing?
I'm just quickly trying to tweet that before anybody else does. But yeah, I'm good, mate. And I also think planning is overrated, so you're in good company.
Exactly. Right, like I say, we're going to do our top 5 players of 2024. We've all done a list, and Pete's done a list as well from afar. So we'll go through that. We'll chat a little bit about some rumoured transfer interest in Chris Wood, and Matheus Cunha's ban is confirmed, and he'll miss the Forest game. And we'll discuss what to me feels very lenient, but we'll have a quick chat about that. So do drop your lists in for the players, top 5 players. Like I say, it's for the calendar year. So we'll just go around the room. Paul, do you want to go first? Because I know you've got to go, so I want to get yours in. What is your list? And then we'll chat about it.
My top 5. Okay, so top 5 players of the year. Obviously, really difficult to pick just 5, but I've gone for Chris Wood. I think he's got 18 goals, I think, this calendar year, which, both played a part in keeping us up last year and has obviously set us on the road to the brilliant start we've had this year. I've gone for Ola Aina. I think he's pretty much Mr. Consistent throughout the year with his performances, and I know we've got potential interest in him, which is unsurprising given his performances. Similarly, Murillo, I think, also has been a model of consistency throughout the year, and then Matt Sells, who basically was brought in to do a specific job in January, which was steady the ship, absolutely did that. And we've all seen how we've kicked on this season. And then final pick has gone to someone who hasn't been here for the whole year, but I think has just been transformational since he arrived in the summer, and that's Milenkovic.
Tough list to pick. I think it'll be a recurring theme. Was there, was Wood an easy choice? And then was it a case of, I'd really like to get, this player and that player in for the other spots?
Yeah, I think Wood picks himself, doesn't he? I think he's been, obviously, from a goal threat perspective, he's been a standout, hasn't he? I mean, I guess the ones that notable mentions who've missed out, I think Yatesy deserves a shout. I wouldn't be interested to see if he's in any of the boys' as top 5s. Obviously, Nico got Player of the Month, didn't he, 3 times in a row last year, and he's obviously come back strong in the last few games. And then Morgan, I think we've seen in flashes how brilliant Morgan can be. I think he's probably not been as consistent as some of the others, which is why I've not included him. Like I say, Aina and Murillo, I think in particular, have just been superb, from a consistency point of view. And I think Sells, just because of I mentioned the transformation that Milenkovic has brought, I think Sells has done a similar thing. If we think back where we were, this time 12 months ago with goalkeepers, I think Sells has had a massive impact as well. So yeah, tough list, but I'm comfortable with the ones I've chosen.
Cool. What about you then, Mark? What's yours in order?
Very similar to Paul's there, but I will go through them just to be tedious. It would be Wood first of all. Although Ola Aina is my favourite player, I've put Ola Aina second. But Wood has to be first because of what he's achieved, as Paul rightly said, in terms of the goals that kept us up and the goals that have got us where we are now. And because he has exceeded any expectations we would have had of him, basically. I don't think there's many Forest fans, non-Forest fans, pundits or anyone who would sit here and think that Wood would have achieved what he's done over the last year. It's just he's scored goals that I just didn't expect him to score. And he keeps doing it. And we're talking about him later being a target for Italian clubs, which, he deserves that attention. Ola Aina, just incredibly consistent. My favourite Forest player at the moment. On and off the pitch, brings so much to us, never lets us down wherever you play him. Then it's Murillo, exactly the same order as Paul, as I said. I won't go into too much with him other than the fact that he is obviously our rising star. He's the player that basically secures our future financially, I would have thought, because I think when the transfer fee arrives, that's going to be transformative in terms of what we do with that money and how we rebuild. So Murillo is so valuable to us, and his ascendancy has been ridiculous and unexpected as well, and hasn't even finished, may not even be halfway in terms of his career. Then I put Gibbs White in. The only difference really to Paul's, the only reason I put Gibbs White in there is because I think that he remains our special player. He should be higher on this list, really. I think if he was to assess himself, he perhaps feels that he could have brought more to us over the last year, but he is still incredibly important to us. And still, for me, it's hard to think of an 11 without him in the team. He's that one player who is our creative hub. We've seen it. We're starting to see it more consistently in the last 4 or 5 games now. Hopefully he can maintain that. Paul's right, he hasn't been consistent, but I do think he still deserves a mention in our top 5 because he is a special player who makes us different, who really is that X factor in midfield. And then Milenkovic as well, same as Paul. I think we've only had 4 or 5 months of him, but he has made such a difference to us that he edges out players like Williams and Hudson-Odoi for me in terms of being in the top 5 for the year because of what he's brought to us for this season and the difference he's made.
What about, Elliot Anderson wasn't on your list or Paul's. He's not on mine. I feel kind of bad about it. He's because he's not been as transformative as Milenkovic that he didn't get on.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to put top 5 players of the season, he would certainly be in there. But by the end of the season, I don't question that. When he signed, I was cock a hoop about him coming because I knew we had a quality player. I just worried about where he would fit in. Finally feels like he's got his role now. He can play in the midfield too. He can play wide, he can play in the 10, but I think he's going to be in that midfield engine room. He's got the industry and craft to play that role. He can do anything, really. He's been fantastic for us. And when you look at where we are, it's down to recruitment. And that recruitment is underpinned by signings like Olareina, by Murillo, by Milenkovic and by Anderson. So if you get 3 or 4 signings absolutely right, you're on to a winner. It's very difficult to do, but we've done it. We've got 4 or 5 of our signings that I've just listed there so right, and they've all fulfilled and exceeded expectation. And alongside that, we've had Chris Wood just flourish. That has underpinned our success, and that is down to the recruitment team and their success there. Yes, we've had some misses, but my word, those successes that I've just listed there have been spectacular, and he is one of them.
Did you watch Man United last night?
Yeah.
Well, just as an example of what recruitment going wrong can do to a club, isn't it? Right.
Yeah, Gary Neville listed the signings that they've made, Ugarte and Yoro and Zirkic, and they've been disastrous. And he said that they've arrived at the club as players that nobody thought they were bad players and could make a difference, and they've become bad players when they've arrived at the club, and that can happen. It certainly has happened at Old Trafford. So for us, the fact that the likes of Murillo and Anderson have landed and absolutely hit a level of performance which has been beyond expectation is just fantastic. And yes, it's not just recruitment; it is coaching as well. Obviously, our coaching team have got the best out of those signings, and they're why we are where we are now. Basically, I mean, I haven't even mentioned Callum Hudson-Odoi. He was another one, that £3 million signing that's just been fantastic for us.
Thank you very much to Joseph for signing up for membership. Very much appreciate that, Joseph. I'll dip into the chat before we come to Temps and just we'll pick out a few of the lists. Thank you to everyone who's been dropping them in. Paul has got Sells, Murillo, Aina, Gibbs White and Wood. I'll read a few of these out for people who are listening, not watching. And good to have 170 people with us at like literally 3 minutes notice. Appreciate that. Lee has got Milenkovic, Anderson, Murillo, Aina and Wood. Derek has not got Matt Sells. He's got Milenkovic, Aina, Anderson, Wood and Murillo, and I'll take Russell's as well. Aina, Sells, Wood, Gibbs White. There's a sort of a recurring core emerging, even though it was a tough list, certainly. Go on then, Temps. What's your list in order, if possible?
So reverse order. So Murillo's 5th for me. I just think his value has continued to climb steadily. That Brazil Cup has evaded him, but it's a matter of time now. And as Mark said, he'll go on to be whatever he wants to be in the European club game. I think that potential is just completely uncapped. I put Morgan Gibbs White at 4. I rate him so highly that I still think there's more to come. And I've been critical of what he does. But if you watch his 3-minute highlights from any game now, he's one of the outstanding creative players in the Premier League. And with consistency will come that England place and that kind of talismanic stature of a man that you can build a team around. I put Ola Aina at 3, equally comfortable right back and left back. I don't think he regrets choosing Nigeria, because obviously extremely proud of his heritage, but he'd be in the England conversation if he hadn't made that choice some time ago. I think he's poised on the ball. I never see him clear it with a channel ball. It's always considered, helps us retain possession. And what he brings going forward is the difference between surviving in the Premier League and thriving. I think he's been truly excellent. Now, my top 2, there's just been pivotal points over the past year where we've just added something to the mix that has really improved us. In the summer, we added Milenkovic, and he became the perfect foil for Murillo, different type of player. In many ways, a more classically molded defender who's barely put a foot wrong and just made us so dominant defensively this season. That was a pivotal moment in taking this Forest side to where they are now. And my number 1 is Chris Wood. I was looking back at what he did back end of 23. So the hat-trick against Newcastle was in 23. He scored previously in Nuno's first game against Bournemouth. But prior to that, he'd scored 4 goals in the season, 1 against Blades, 2 against Luton, and 1 against the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the type and frequency of the goals that he's scoring and the points that's accumulated for Forest is the key reason why we're now second in the Premier League. He's my number 1 in 2024.
I'll ask you a couple of questions about a couple there then. I mean, Gibbs White, you refer to like a 3-minute highlight reel package, which is probably what he needs to get away from, in a sense, to just be that more, I guess, consistent is the word, to be, because he should really, in a sense, be number 1 with his quality, but he's just not quite had that consistency for the 12 months, you think?
Creative players have to try things, so that they're going to make errors. They're going to have the ball in blind alleys, and they're going to carry the ball under pressure. And I think those moments where it goes well for him, we see the goals and assists that we've seen in recent weeks. But yeah, occasionally he should just play the wall pass or link the play or pass and move, just those simple moments. And I don't know, I always sound critical of him, but I think I probably compare it to like being a manager of a supremely talented player and knowing that consistency is what's going to take him to the next level. And this is a guy that could be operating in the Champions League next year with a team that he's been a big part of improving. So the only reason I'm critical is because I rate him so highly. I think he could be a true talisman. I've got no better word for it. If what he does periodically in games became that bit more consistent, but you have to give that player the license to make mistakes. They have to, dare to lose the ball to create the situations that they do. So yeah, I'm high on Gibbs White. I've noticed quite a few of the top 5s coming in. He's probably just on the outside of, but he's well within mine. I think he's key to how we play.
Let me read out Pete's then, and then I'll read out mine. Pete's is very, very similar. So in reverse order, Milenkovic 5, Aina 4, Gibbs White 3, Murillo 2, and Chris Wood 1, which all makes a lot of sense. And I'll go into mine, and then because I really wanted to get Matt Sells in because of the difference he's made from Matt Turner. He's not in it. So Gibbs White 5 for the reasons everyone's discussed. Milenkovic 4, Aina 3, Murillo 2, and Chris Wood 1. A clean sweep. You were the only one, Paul, who put Matt Sells in, and it feels like he deserves it. But I couldn't get him in, but I really wanted to. But the upgrade from Matt Turner and the upgrade in Matt Sells, in a sense, I mean, it's been pretty remarkable, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think we've seen, as you say, even himself, the way he's grown since he came in. I just think, again, the reason I put him in was because he was brought in to do a specific job, and he's, if you think of obviously Milenkovic obviously ticks that bill as well, and so did the likes of Anderson. But he really steadied the ship last year when we needed just a safe pair of hands to kind of stop us all getting into into a flap, if you pardon the pun, every time the ball came near our box. And he's just continued to grow. I think it was the breakout performance was that Chelsea away, wasn't it, where he made some fantastic saves in that game. And he just seems to have elevated his confidence since then. I do think Milenkovic coming in front of him has definitely helped. You've got that solid, consistent centre-back pairing, which he didn't really have last year. We chopped and changed a lot with the centre-backs last season, which didn't help any of the keepers in hindsight. But yeah, I just thought Sells deserved a place, given the steadying influence that he's had and the continued improvement that he's shown throughout the season. And I think he's got the most clean sheets in the league so far this season. I think 8. Which again, obviously, is, like I say, is down to the defensive unit, but he's obviously been a big part in that with some crucial saves as well. So, yeah, I thought he just snuck in there for me ahead of Morgan.
Thanks everyone who dropped their lists in. Very much appreciated. A lot of them, Mark, are the core of the team, plus Olaina. We discussed Olaina yesterday a little bit. Was it yesterday? I can't even remember. Interest in him anyway from Man City. What's your take on that? Because you'll be across all the stats for us and City. Does it worry you because it feels like he'd probably fit in their team? Yeah,
it worries me. He would fit their template. He's incredibly comfortable on the ball. He can bring the ball out. He's got good distribution, and fundamentally, he's a very good fullback in defensively, isn't he? I'm surprised that there isn't more clubs looking at him in the light of the contract uncertainty. I see Olaina hug Marinakis post-match in the videos though, and I think that surely we've got that tied up. Surely Olaina wants to stay at this club, and surely Marinakis and Nuno know exactly what value he brings, and we'll sort that out. So I have great faith in our backroom team to get that deal done, and great faith that Olaina is happy at this club and sees how much we value him to stay for another period. So even though Man City are knocking, they're a mid-table team, aren't they? They're not even going to have European football, so he'll stay with us.
Excellent. Let's talk a little bit then. Actually, we'll take an advert for that. I've just noticed my laptop charger.
Oh, what's he done there?
Oh, it's like he's back in COVID times now. He's muted himself. Come on, Davis. Right. There he is. He's back.
Yeah, so I've got a loose connection on my mic, and my laptop charger isn't working. So I might have to run downstairs and dig out the. Oh no, I've got a spare one there that doesn't really work either. So I might do a transformation. Right, we'll save the advert. We'll come on to that shortly. Chris Woods then, Temps, linked with AC Milan, Napoli, and Saudi Arabian clubs by Football Insider. Obviously, out of contract in the summer. Same sort of question. Are you worried because of the money that they can offer, especially the Saudis? Does it concern you or not?
That's the agent getting to work. So to get the best offer out of Forest, he needs the counter offers. Of course, there's a market for Chris Wood because he's scoring goals in a manner that befits a player that's leading a team in the Premier League. So I'm not surprised by the interest. I think the likely outcome is he gets a 2-year contract at Forest. I don't think he'd sign a single-year extension. There is a bit of risk there. And I suppose the big question which I'll pose to the fellas is he the guy that's going to be leading the line next year, even if he signs this contract? What I'd like to see is a striker come in to challenge him. I don't think Taiwo can do that. And then it's a genuine scrapping pre-season to see who gets the shirt, because we're only going to play 1-9. But he's earned that contract. We're going to have to pay the price. There will be interest from elsewhere. But the likely outcome for me is 2 years and scrap for your place.
I think just on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think a lot of it depends. Well, I think you're right. I think he will sign a 2-year deal. In terms of the value that he will bring next season and beyond, and towards the end of that 2 years, kind of depends on who that next person through the door is. If it's if we go down the route of someone who is not the finished article, who's young and needs moulding, then he can play a really key mentor role in helping whoever that is develop. So, and again, it's a bit sort of intangible to measure the value that will bring, but certainly you would expect that if we do go down that route, and that's not to say that we will, but if we did go down that route, Wood would definitely provide value in that mentor role to whoever that next person through the door is, for sure.
Well, we've got to think about the Champions League rotation, of course, Temps as well, haven't we? So we can't expect Wood to play midweek in the Champions League and also in the Premier League. So, but yeah,
look, I think it's miraculous that he's been as resilient as he has. There was that time last season he had the knock at Spurs. Him and Taiwo were basically banking on one of them being fit at any given time. So the fact that we've had this meaningful competition for that place is probably what's driven him to be where he is. What do you think, Mark? Does he go into next season leading the line, or does there have to be competition when you need that bigger squad and the games come thick and fast?
Yeah, if we do get European football, and I joke about Champions League, I'm being flippant, but if we do get European football, which I would be disappointed if we don't get that now, we have to add more competition in every position. So I think we need at least one other striker. I think Taiwo will leave in the summer. I think that's starting to look like the likely scenario. So I would see us making 2 signings up front if that is the case. And obviously, if we do get European football, it changes the types of target we can look at. Marinakis has done plenty back in the backroom team to give us the contacts and the individuals who can go and source those players with European football on the table as an offer. So I'd be very optimistic about the level of player that we could attract. And a player like Santiago Jimenez, who turned us down last time out, probably would look at us very, very seriously if we had European football. And he comes with a pedigree that probably would be ideal to sit along Chris Wood, with Chris Wood taking the Premier League games and maybe someone like Jimenez being the striker that we look at for the European games. With the formation Nuno plays, we probably only need that one focal point, don't we? And then back up for the European games if we do get Europe.
Crisis averted. It turns out the laptop charger was fine. I just hadn't. I say I hadn't plugged it in. My missus has set up. I think there's 3 extension leads plugged into one another in some kind of extension centipede, which doesn't seem very safe.
Sounds like a Home Alone death trap, Matt.
Fire test.
Sounds like a fire hazard, yeah.
So don't you bring Mrs. Davis into this?
Slander her. I know. I went at Christmas because my parents watched this, and I'd said something about don't blame it on the missus. Yeah, I know. My mum said I'd said something about her, and I think I got away with it, but yeah, it was an uncomfortable moment. So yeah, vicariously living through my parents, or they are living through this. Right, Paul, you've got to go in a couple of minutes. Any final thoughts on anything you want to say before we let you go? And Happy New Year.
I do, yeah. I noticed we haven't really talked about Yatesy, and I just think he didn't make my list, but he was definitely in my also rans, just from a point of view of he continues to defy the odds and keep himself in the conversation. I think he's got a challenge now after Dominguez's performance on the other day to get back in the starting 11. But he's just shown throughout the whole of the year that you can never write him off. And he's definitely improved as a footballer. So for me, I think he deserves to be in the conversation, not necessarily in the top 5, but I think we should give a mention to Yatesy because he's the lifeblood of the club. We all know about the run since 1941 that we managed to keep going with Abbott the other day, but Yatesy is going to be central to keeping that going for any significant length of time going forward. So just thought I would mention him. And the final thing before I go, I want to shout out to a company called Football Bobbles. Don't know if anyone's heard of them or come across them, but I got this through the post the other day. Which I found this before Christmas, and it's the hat that matches the shirt from indeed the 87-88 season when we were last second on New Year's Eve. So shout out to Football Bobbles if anyone wants to give them a look and get a funky Forest bobble hat. There's a few different designs. This one's the one that caught my eye because it.
Paul, how long did you and Cluffy have that ventriloquist act for?
It was about 2 hours on an aeroplane, but brilliant. I like that.
Right.
Right, I've got to go. Happy New Year to everyone, and thanks for again, thanks to you, Matt, for all the work you've done this year and keeping fans like me in the loop. And I know that your podcast and you are greatly appreciated by the whole Forest community. So on behalf of them, thanks very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we shall see you soon. Cheers, Paul. Right, here we go. A couple of the bits before we get into Cunha, just from the chat. I don't know if you chaps were discussing this while I was having a blind panic there. Lots of mentions of Delap. Did you discuss Delap, Mark?
No, we were going over alternatives that we could look at to kind of bolster the squad in that position. And Delap will obviously be much sought after. Yeah, I mean, continues to impress, and he's very raw. I think if we were bringing in someone that could mentor and bring through, then he would be an ideal candidate. I don't think that. I think I'd rather have someone of Jimenez's pedigree and proven quality as an initial buy, but someone like Delap as another backup. Like I said earlier, I think we need two in that position if we do let Tyrone go. So yeah, Delap would definitely be on the list, but I don't think he'd be right at the top. He'd be near, but not at the top.
Thank you very much to Richard. Like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind. There's 265 people with us, which is fantastic. Very much appreciate that. So yeah, do us a favour if you haven't already. On the signings thing, Temps, I saw there was a report today. We were discussing in our WhatsApp chat, suggesting that Forest are, walking the PSR line again. I don't believe they're in trouble. I'd be surprised and really gutted if they were. But on that, would you rather circle the wagons and keep what we've got, look at new contracts, don't sell, and just kick the can down the road to January and not buy anyone rather than take any risks or guarantee a sale in the summer, which would potentially happen? Would you rather be, I don't think it's even conservative, but would you rather not buy anyone in January if needed?
Well, I don't attach any credence to those reports. There's no reason to think that we're on any kind of PSR cusp. And of course, even if we go out and have a bit of a splurge, it's from a perspective of enhanced income in future years, which will count towards that calculation. It doesn't all get locked on to this year's. But a question about the squad and do I want to see mass change? Look, we have to keep improving. And there's even if it's 2 or 3 out and they're fringe players who aren't really affecting games at the minute, that will be the mindset of what's going on behind the scenes at Forest. Incremental improvements every time we get the opportunity to. If there was no transfer window, there would be even more transfer activity at Forest. So I do expect to see ins and outs. But am I happy and proud of what we've got? Of course I am. And I don't think we're going to let any of the crown jewels go in January. I think if our league position was somewhat different, if we were embroiled in that scrap and the offer came in for Murillo, let's say at this point, it'd have to be duly considered. And there'd be a different kind of pressure from player and agent. But they're part of a project here. And whatever happens in the summer, I think there is a mutual benefit to Forest and the individual in that case, and certain others, to keeping this thing together for the rest of the season. So yeah, I'm all for sticking, but I know there will be some peripheral business in January. Just don't expect us to be one of the massive outs or necessarily the massive ins. But there is a huge loan market. There are some disaffected players. There are a significant amount of English qualified players heading into the last 6 months of their contract who might be ripe for a loan. So let's see what happens. But yeah, protect the core, deal on the margins, see where we get to.
Excellent. I'll come back to Mark for some final thoughts on the transfer window shortly. Just indulge me, everyone, with back-to-back adverts because I've really messed this up today. So we'll do 2 in a row. As we've been saying, double stamps in January at the Trent Navigation. Just ask at the bar for a new card and you can get double stamps on your loyalty card. That's all through January. Thanks very much to the NAV as ever for their backing for the whole year. In fact, since the beginning, they were the first sponsors to come on board and they've been our main sponsors all the way through. Our most recent sponsors, I noticed Temps has got blinds in the background, is Vesta Blinds. If you're looking for blinds or shutters or anything else in the Notts area, bespoke to made to measure, then get in touch with them. You can see the number on the screen and the links in the description for those who are listening. So thanks to James and all the guys there. Obviously, James is a Forest fan as well. So thanks very much for that. Temps got blinds. Mark, what is the secret to your incredible shed there? Is that blinds? I take it it's not curtains, is it?
I've got blackout blinds on all the windows. So yeah, because I've got a projector in here as well. So it's it doubles as a cinema as well if I want it to. It's very tiny, but it's multi-purpose. Honestly, if it ever got burgled, it just looks like an ordinary shed from the outside. So any burglar would go and go, well, I get his drill, I'll get his mower. They'd open up and it'd be like this Aladdin's den of tech, basically.
Come out of a professional streaming setup and some UV lighting.
Yeah, not what they would expect, but yeah, it's a very comfortable space, but very small and bijou.
Well, if best of blinds, if you are the people for you, if you're looking for a man cave TARDIS in the Notts area, then you don't want to put your mower and your trimmer in there, and you want to have a Mark Southern style setup, get in touch with them. Right, Mark. Before we talk about Cunha and we go, because this was only supposed to take 30 minutes, so I've done my usual thing, which is what you do in Black Box all the time, to go on and on, but longer than you meant to. Any final thoughts on January? What you want to see? I think we discussed a bit. I mean, there's players like Omar Deli who are going to go. Matt Turner's still on our books, but not with us. There's a few players like that, but anything you want to add to what Temps was saying?
Yeah, there's players that deserve football who have been good servants to us and come in and done a good job for us, who perhaps deserve now to get football, like Omar Benedeli, maybe Toff as well. Great to see him come onto the pitch the other day and never lets us down. But of course, he may be wanting more regular football, and we should be fair to him and let players like that get some football out on loan or whatever. I don't see any urgency for ins. I think it's a fantastic, luxurious position for us, because I can't remember a window where we haven't gone into it with blind panic, as in we've desperately got to get this. We talked about Matt Sells. He was a January window signing, if you remember, which, credit to him for coming in and doing that job, because it's not often that January signings work out as well as Matt Sells has done. I think we're in this position now where we can look around and see if there's an opportunity, if there's anyone whose contract situation means that strategically it's good to go now and have a look now. But I like the position we're in. I mean, God, look at the table, look at the squad. We've been fortunate with injuries. Perhaps we should reinforce just in case that fortune doesn't continue. But I don't look at any position in the squad and think we're weak there now that Taiwo is back and looking like he needs to be let off the leash in a few games. So, no, I think we're in a great position, and it's just a case of letting a few go who deserve, having been servants to the club, deserve some regular football.
It's funny watching an Ipswich versus Chelsea game 12 months ago. You're really wanting Chelsea just to put that one away, and now we're watching it thinking, "Oh, come on, Ipswich, we're going to be one step closer to second here." That was crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I mean, to cheer that result last night just shows how far we've come and the difference now to our outlook.
Nuts. We mentioned Danilo and Sangare while I was scrambling Temps as well. I mean, they're coming back, especially Danilo. I feel like Sangare is more of a work in progress, but Danilo coming back in potentially second half of the season to bolster the squad in that midfield area as well.
He's an option. I think Elliot Anderson has shut down a lot of his minutes because he does that kind of dynamic central midfield role in the same manner that Danilo does. I think it would be very difficult for either of those to displace the starters, but of course they're going to get some minutes. I just feel Anderson has surpassed what Danilo will be able to pick up at this point of the season.
Very good. Right, let's move on and talk briefly at the end about Matheus Cunha has got his 2-match ban. It's finally been confirmed. So the point of this is he'll miss the Forest game, which is great because I think he's a top player. The other point is, Mark, I think that is insanely lenient. When you look at Morgan getting banned for the Brighton game, you've seen Jack Stevens getting extra games for, obviously you don't want players to swear at referees, but we talk about consistency. And I know Wolves have been on the rough end of VAR on a few decisions, but this one feels pretty soft, doesn't it? I expected a higher figure to me.
The cynic in me is thinking that no appeal went in, did it? And I wonder whether some kind of bargaining was done in terms of don't appeal, we'll get it done after Christmas for you, so you'll get him over Christmas, and then when we do it, it'll only be a couple of games, and that's why no appeal went in. We know that if an appeal goes in, it lengthens the process, and obviously it was a Christmas period as well, so no one would have wanted that appeal over Christmas. And it is a factor because Ipswich and Leicester, for example, who are in touching distance of Wolves, will look at this and go, well, number one, he's managed to play 3 games over Christmas. Okay, he was injured at Spurs, so they only got 45 minutes out of him there. But he won the game against Man United for them. So he got them 3 points there for his corner and his assist. So I feel a bit for Ipswich and Leicester, not only in the fact that he managed to play those 3 games or 2.5, but also now that if I was them, I'd be thinking, okay, he got those 3 games, but he's probably going to get 3 or 4 game ban. And now he hasn't got that. He's such a key talisman to them. He can, there's no question, he can keep them up. His performances can keep them up. So I feel a bit for Ipswich and Leicester in that I think they'll look at it and go, that's not really what we expected from that outcome. Wolves will be delighted because he only misses the Forest game. Obviously, I'm happy from a Forest perspective, but I do think it's a little bit lenient, yeah.
Morning, Stephen in Chicago just joined us. Good to have you with us. I was going to put up AJ's comment just above that, though. A 4-game ban, 6-match ban would have been reasonable, says AJ. I mean, it's not really Forest relevant, but he does miss the game, Temps. But just any thoughts on that?
Yeah, back AJ. I think they've been lenient there. I think as soon as you're interfering with someone doing their job by ripping their glasses off their face, and this kind of, role model status that all these boys have, you need to take that far more seriously. Great player. I was looking what they paid for him. It was £44 million from Atletico Madrid, and he's kind of repaid that, hasn't he? Very, very dangerous and misses our game. So from a Forest perspective, that's all that matters. I'd have come down on him like AJ would, but he won't affect our game, and that will greatly enhance our chances of coming away with 3 points.
One of the things in the chat yesterday was about we should sign Cunha. I mean, it's not realistic, is it, Temps? The money and the clubs that would want him?
I don't think so. I think he probably, Arsenal's a likely destination, as we mentioned once or twice. I think he's got choices to make there, and I think he will command a wage which is still beyond our structure, irrespective of where we finish in the table this season. So doesn't really profile as the kind of player that we would look to grab, but on talent alone, I'd take him.
Just from a purely selfish perspective, Matt, and this is very selfish and not really in favour of Ipswich and Leicester, Cunha does come back for a run of games that is Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, Villa, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Fulham, all the teams that are around us.
Yeah.
So if he comes back, which is crazy to say, but they are. Those are the fixtures that if Wolves take points off those teams, it helps Forest a great deal. So from a purely selfish perspective, it's a good outcome.
It's funny how things change. My Wolves mates are in the WhatsApp group that I'm in. One of them, and I don't know to what degree he was joking, says he thinks they can finish top 10. Now they've got 2 wins and a draw against 3 pretty rubbish teams, I would say, in Leicester, United and Spurs.
Yeah, let's have another look after Monday, shall we? Let's see what you think then.
Yeah, exactly. And a few others. Just for a bit of fun quickly as well, there was a thing yesterday about Toffee TV, Mark, saying they're really good, by the way, and I'm not digging them out because Ped, who is on it, has been on here, and he's a really good talker, and the other chap who was on was really interesting as well, and they're a really high quality channel. But they did say that none of our team would get in the Everton team. Would you take, this is really not just like end of year no nonsense chat, Mark, but would you take any Everton player?
They're serious when I said that.
Yeah. I think
they not look at the fancy Premier League points. They're all getting their team, aren't they?
Are they putting Tarkowski and over one of Murillo or Milenkovic, for example?
Yeah.
Really?
I think, that's what they said, yeah. 2 players. Sorry, Tommy says they said 2 players. I don't know if that. I
mean, Pickford's a very good goalkeeper, isn't he? Right, so Pickford gets in most teams. That's fair enough. I don't think Ashley Young is getting in over Oliveira. I don't think Tarkowski is getting in over Murillo. I just left back. What Milenko? No, Mikolenko. I'm not taking him over. Certainly not over Moreno. It's very close between him and Williams, maybe, but I still don't know. I mean, Anderson, Gibbs, White. I mean, they haven't got a midfielder who's better than those 2. So I don't know where they're coming from on that. I think they need to sit down and have another rethink of that. So yeah, Everton players that were getting our team, certainly Jordan Pickford. Yeah, he looked useful. But is he consistent? Has he got an end product? I mean, look at the end product we've seen from Alanga recently, and look at what we get from Hudson-Odoi. I don't necessarily think he's better than either of those 2. So, Calvert-Lewin over Wood? I don't think so. So, I'm really struggling to think more than a couple, and one of them will be Pickford.
Yeah. I'd like to say, I think, I'm not digging Toffee TV out. They're really good and they're nice guys. But it's interesting watching some of I suppose the wider point is, Temps, it's interesting watching some of these channels and the pundits, particularly. Like, we're not still getting the appreciation that our players should be getting, I would say. Milenkovic and Wood are in a lot of these teams of the year. But generally, I think we're still, even now, going under the radar, even though we're second, aren't we?
Yeah, and those clubs who've been in the Premier League for so long, they don't like the disruption to the natural order, do they? So my generation is just littered with Man United fans who watched them on ITV week in, week out in the Champions League when we were at school. now probably regretting their life choices for the first time in a long time. So I bracket Everton with that. Proud club, long tradition of being in the Premier League, had this nightmare of ownership and the financial struggle of sorting their stadium issue, and now they find themselves with an aging and unbalanced squad that looks like it needs major surgery. They're falling out with Sean Dyche. They think he's defensively minded. It's not a happy place to be. And as we said yesterday, the potty mouth rants of the front row at Goodison Park only serve to underline the sense of feeling there at the minute. But to say that two of our players would get in their 11 is a travesty. So yeah, I'll start the beef with Toffee TV if you don't want to. Let's call them out and meet them around the back of the nav for a scrap and a pint and double points, all the rest of it.
They've got Branthwaite, but it's unfortunate for them that Branthwaite plays in a position where we got Milenkovic and Murillo. So it's pretty close. And he's their star player, I would say, outside of Pickford. They haven't got anything else. I mean, they've got Mangala in midfield, who did a job for us, but wouldn't get in ahead of Anderson and Gibbs-White now. Maybe it's close him over Dominguez or Yates, maybe, but it's definitely not a done deal, that either, is it? So, yeah.
I haven't watched loads of their matches, Mark, but I think having seen the Forest game now, I can understand why they're in the position that they're in. And is it down to the way that Sean Dyche has set them up? I don't think so particularly. They were happy to keep ball in midfield. They played with the wingers. Calvert-Lewin's not quite the man for now, but you'd think he'd find his way back in there. So I think there's a logical explanation as to why they are where they are. It's that set of players will finish 15th, 16th in the Premier League. I think it's just.
I can see why Everton fans would want him out. It's absolutely horrific to watch with one up front. Sorry, Mark, I cut you off.
No, I was just saying they need McNeil. He does make a difference, but they haven't got enough of that quality, and they haven't, I guess, got the backing to transform that team into something that plays in a different style to the typical Dyche style. Dyche gets results who will keep them up, and that's probably enough. So what Nuno has done has taken us to another level and developed his style to something that can compete in a top 10 scenario, which I don't know whether Dyche can do that again. He did it with Burnley, to be fair, but he needs the right support to do that and hasn't got that at the moment.
There's a nice question in the comments as to whether Steve Stone and Ian Woan would still get in Everton's side.
Just a couple of quick things to chip in, just inspired by the comments, what people are saying. This made me laugh from Derek. Pickford versus on psychotic. I don't know if that's too far, but it made me laugh. He's quite funny. Two other quick points from Dyche. I mean, Chris Wood is maybe Dyche just underutilized Chris Wood. I know he was viewed as Burnley's main man, but actually maybe Chris Wood could have done better with a different manager for all those years. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud there. And also, Mark, Mangala, I remember a year ago, not unfairly, Lewis and people were saying that he was our best midfielder, central, not Gibbs-White, but best central midfielder. And like you say, he wouldn't get in our 11 now. There's a lot of it shows how far we've come comments we could make, but I guess that's another one, isn't it? Mangala, player, but
it's the signings and the development of those signings. Dominguez has been really steady performer, and he's very versatile. He can tackle. He's technically good. He can pass. He never lets us down, and that's kind of what Mangala was. Mangala maybe had a little bit of creative spark in him, a little bit of individual brilliance, but we didn't see it. He didn't dominate games. But Anderson's a different level to Mangala. Anderson is very much that kind of player who can tackle, he can track back, he can thread a pass, and he can run a game, and he's doing that to a level which I don't think Mangala can reach. And he's younger. Mangala's got more years ahead of him. So we've come on, we've developed, we've moved on.
Or do you think Mangala would have been better here under Nuno, playing in our system?
Maybe. I mean, I was sad to see him go. There's no doubt he was an asset to us, but his departure definitely helped us financially. So, he played a very important role in our future in that respect, didn't he? So, and as turned out, it's been a positive move for us in that we've moved on, and I think moved on to better things.
Shout out to Leon. Good shout, James. If we're reviewing there, they were pretty benevolent. A good word with Mangala and Niakate. Newcastle as well, but that was more of a PSR thing that we benefited from with Elliot Anderson. Right. I think we'll probably finish it there just before we go to final thoughts, though, because we've gone way over what I said we would to these lads already, of course. If you've enjoyed this, do us a favour, hit like, hit subscribe, consider Patreon or channel membership if it's something that you might be interested in, and give us a lovely 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Temps, it's the end of the year. We haven't even said that we're second in the Premier League. We haven't even discussed that. So any final thoughts as we depart 2024 and head into the good ship 2025?
What a year. I've just had the best time attending matches, talking about matches. Apologies to Toffee TV. I obviously don't mean that. I'm a peaceful guy. Try not to be a ranter and a raver. But yeah, we're on a bit of a ride at the minute, aren't we? It's great, super enjoyable. Going to have a big January and then see what comes of it. But I genuinely believe that we could qualify for the Champions League, and I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah, this is very stereotypical. I don't want to fight Scaxers. I feel like, that's the battle I'm not willing to engage in. So if they want to engage in any kind of Anchorman style scraps, then Temps is the man for you, Toffee TV. I'll refer all complaints to Michael Temple. Mark, anything
I just don't want to get trolled by that woman who kept shouting snapping 80 minutes on the pitch, Mike, on the Everton game.
Shouting worse than that. I think that they had a battle on there. Mark, anything you want to add?
No, just wish everyone a happy new year, and everyone's had a fantastic 2024. I'm sure, because we're all Forest fans, and what we've achieved on and off the pitch has been fantastic, and we're in a place now where we never dreamt we would be. I mean, I still have to refresh the page when I look at the league table to make sure it's not an error. It's just crazy to think we're going into the new year second in the Premier League when we fully expected to be down there in the bottom 6 or 8 and looking over our shoulder. And instead of that, we're looking ahead to the fixtures and going, well, will Chelsea drop points there? Will Newcastle drop points there? And it just puts a different twist on things. And the future is incredibly bright. We've got a set of players who look like they've got a way of playing and a spirit that's going to carry us through this season and beyond. We've got a manager who obviously has got a formula that can bring us success at this level and hopefully on a European stage as well. And we've got an owner who is continually investing in the future of this club in terms of what's going on in the football and in the community. At the moment, we're in a very positive place, and we've got to just cherish and enjoy this and take it on. And I'm loving life as a Forest fan.
We've done Wood in Italy, haven't you? You put in the private chat Wood in Italy. Have I gone mad?
Did we cover it? I don't think we covered it. Did we? Oh, okay, fair enough. Maybe I missed that.
Well, I hope we did. Did we cover it, Temps?
Yeah. Well, you asked me if I thought it was realistic, and if we thought we could match with the wages that might come in from there or Saudi Arabia. But I think my considered view is that he will end up signing a 2-year contract, but he'll have to scrap for his place beyond this season.
I think there's a bit of agent. Well, I hope there's a bit of agent busyness in this, trying to get him to sign an extra year at Forest. But I can see why clubs would be interested in him, certainly. What was I going to say? Thank you, Garibaldi Nerd. The final thing, do hit like, do hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much to everyone who has joined us. This was like hideously chaotic from inception to execution. It was an absolute car crash. So
they're the best ones. They're the best ones.
I'm going to find him a sponsor of a new laptop charger.
And a power strip. He needs power strips, obviously, as well.
Yeah. The laptop charger was fine. It was just, that it wasn't plugged in properly, which is probably quite basic and remedial. So, yeah, there you go. Standards as ever. Thanks to everyone who's joined us. 300 people with us, which is great. Thanks to everyone who's joined us throughout the year. Very much appreciate all your company and all your support. Looking forward to 2025, as all the lads say. We shall be back. No, not tomorrow. It's New Year's Day. We should be back on Thursday, if that is the right day, with a Wolves preview. In fact, that might be Friday. I don't know what I'm saying. We'll be back at some point this week with a Wolves preview. We'll be back at an opposition preview.
We'll be back at some point in the future for more of this.
Hopefully, if I don't burn my house down. There's 6 ambulances outside my house today. That's a bit worrying. I've never seen that before. I'm worried there was some kind of major terrorist incident. I hope everyone's okay.
God.
I know. The village is a buzz. Yeah, I hope everyone's all right. I don't know what I'm talking about. That I shouldn't be really. That sounds a bit disrespectful. Right, let's end it there on a weird note, which fits this episode. Mark Sutherns, thank you very much, and thank you to Billy for letting you have.
Yeah, no, I'll explain to him. I'll explain to him that this chaos has to come first, and he'll understand.
Michael Temple and the Temple family, who I can see are milling about. Thank you very much to you.
Cheers, fellas. Speak to you soon.
Yeah, thanks very much, everyone. Have a good day. Happy New Year to you. And if we don't see you on whatever day we eventually come back, then hopefully we shall see you soon.